Raph, I don't know how you pulled this off. You got an Irishman who likes Italians, and he's decorated his church in, you know, an Italian theme. The first time that I met Peter Grupico, he was a 12-year-old wise guy, and I was a 16-year-old wise guy, and he looked kind of like that right there. My friends and I were out on a nice Saturday morning washing our car, and these two young lads came strolling up on their bicycles, and when they approached us, they were making very appropriate comments. But, you know, as young kids will do, they slide into the kind of the wise guy thing, and they were trying to top each other. So, you know, some of the chatter that went on after became inappropriate. You know, it was like, hey, is that your nose or are you eating a banana? That kind of stuff. So we said, maybe it's time for you guys to move along. And so the one lad with the big brown eyes and the Al Pacino face, he said, I don't think I'm going to go. I said, well, you have to leave, son. You know, you're inappropriate. You're being inappropriate here. My friend's father's here. You're being disrespectful. So he says, no, you can't make me leave, and if you touch me, I'm going to tell my cousin Nino Bottolato. Remember Nino Bottolato? Yeah. So anyway, I started for him, and he took off. He started pedaling as fast as he could, and I was faster in those days, and I was able to catch up to him. And just when he got to my house, he jumped off his bike and ran behind my house. There was an embankment. And I picked up his bike and rolled it to the back of the embankment. There I was hovering over him. He's looking up, wondering what's going to happen next. And so I occupied the high ground of the dispute. I rolled his bike down the embankment, and I said, now, I hope you learned the lesson. Take your bike, go home, and don't come back. And he said, okay, but as he rolled away, he was saying something about Nino Bottolato. So I figured, you know, that was over. He was just a kid on a bike. I won't have to deal with him again, right? Wrong. Fate had something else in store for us. So about a year, maybe a year and a half later, I finally got the date that I've been hoping for with the cutest girl in high school. I was in the position that 100 young men in high school would have envied. I was calling on Angela Grupico. Do you remember her? No,
yes, I did. Got a very good memory.
So there I walked up to the front porch, opened the door, walked to the porch, and then went up to the front door. Of course, you know, you're calling on this person that you have the ideal date that you've been looking for years. Your palms are sweating, your heart's pounding out of your chest. Take a deep breath, knock on the door, and the door opens, and guess who's standing there? Yeah. Little Pacino. So I thought, you know, all these thoughts went through my head. This is it. This is the shortest moment in the history of romance. This isn't going to go well. So anyway, the conversation went something like this. He goes, what do you want? I said, I'm here to see Angela. He goes, well, she doesn't want to see you. Slammed the door in my face. So anyway, Angela was off to the side, saw this going on. She came over and shooed Peter away and called me back. Okay, so that's about 54 years ago. So anyway, I'm glad she called me. But anyway, over the years, Peter and I had fun telling that story. In fact, there's a young man in this church right now who can verify the facts. Where is he? Ron, where is he? See that boy right there? Stand up, Ron. That's the other kid on the bike. Right there. Yeah. Peter said it. Remember him? Yeah. Like Peter said it was all your fault. Anyway, I suspect that most people here today have lost touch with Peter over the years. He didn't travel much. I don't think he liked to travel, quite candidly. But you probably recall him, I hope you do, as a kid who was fun-loving. He was carefree. You can't describe Peter Grupico without saying he was carefree, maybe too carefree sometimes. But he had charisma. He was a young man with a charismatic personality, and that personality served him well and saved him often. He was generous to a fault. In fact, I remember a conversation I had with his buddy Ronnie Ronnie said to me one day, if Peter has $1, I know that 50 cents of it is mine. And that was the truth. Remember that conversation, Ron? And I said, well, why do you feel that way? He said, because he owes it to me. No. But anyway, he had, in those days, one character flaw, if you will. His father referenced the fact that none of us is perfect. We all have our ups and our downs and our flaws. Peter was flawed in a way that he had a restless spirit. He'd be doing something one day, and then before you could turn around, he'd be off doing something else. And it used to drive us crazy. We all remember that. You wanted to hug him one minute, and the next minute you wanted to throw his bike down the hill. So, but anyway, I'm happy to say that over these last half a dozen years or so, for me, I've had the good fortune to realize that Peter had refashioned his life. And he renewed himself in important ways. And I learned all of this through our common interest. He was a big Yankee fan like his dad. And when the Yankees played on national TV, he didn't call, he only text. He didn't have a computer, didn't like to talk on the phone, but he loved to text. So we would talk about the Yankee game into the wee hours of the morning. If they went into extra innings, we texted each other back and forth. But over these years, I got to learn a lot about Peter. And Peter that I think you'll enjoy hearing about. I think at a memorial service like this, it's probably appropriate to kind of set the record straight, and I feel an obligation to do that for Pete. First thing, and I think I can't say this strongly enough, the one place where he had changed his life is that he renewed his interest in his faith. Became very devout, believed in the power of prayer, and was constantly reminding us to pray for people and causes bigger than himself. He took on an awareness of the world around him that was unlike the Peter that I knew back in the day. In fact, Rap provided us with some proof of that. He brought up, when he had settled up Peter's things, he brought up 3 sets of rosary beads that are now in the possession of his sisters. And you could tell by those rosary beads that he practiced what he preached, because they had a lot of time in on it. And I think his mother would have been proud of him for that as well. Nobody prayed the rosary more than his mom. Anyway, that's the big one. I believe everything that connects to his the differences that he made in his life at the end, all relate to that, his relationship with God and his faith. It was evident following that he lost this restless spirit, and he found employment with a group of people who loved him and had mutual respect for each other, and regardless of the economy, his employer found a way to keep him. Even when he was laying other people off, Peter had a job and made sure of that. And this group of people stayed with him right to the end as loyal friends, and they tended to his needs right up, as Raph has shared with me, right up to the end, concerned about Pete. In fact, I guess there was a memorial arrangement they made with Peter's shirt and his hat right there at the business time. It's on Facebook for everybody to see. So you don't do that unless you have a strong affection for a person. And the other thing that might surprise you, kind of surprised me at the beginning of that, is that Peter had a renewed interest in learning. He didn't, as I said, he didn't have a computer, so I was his Google. So whenever he had a question, he wanted to know the distance from the Earth to the Sun, I had to answer that for him. If he came across a word that he didn't understand, he would text it to me and ask me about it. What does this? Am I spelling it right? What does it mean, and so forth. So one day, he texted me this question. He says, "What does the word avuncular mean?" I said, "You're kidding, right?" Answering back, "You're kidding." No. "What's it mean?" I said, "Well, why are you asking?" He says, "Well, some kid called me that." He said, "I didn't want to act like I didn't know what he meant." And I said, "Well, if some kid called you that, it's a compliment. Avuncular means you're like the kind, warm uncle." And so this kid must have seen. He said, "Yeah." He said he learned the word in school. He said, "Well," he said, "it reminded me of you. If he learned that word in school, reminded him of you, then you should take a bow because you've made an impression on that kid. Ah, all right, I won't do it. I'll remember that. I'm going to be that all the time now. So we had a conversation here maybe a week and a half ago, Raph. And Raph was sharing with me this discussion that he had with some of Peter's younger co-workers. And they said to Raphael, we regarded your father as a father figure. He was that good to us. And they told stories about how when people would come into the business, how he would, if they looked needy, he'd reach into his wallet and share whatever he had with them. That was Peter. And these kids would tell the story about how good he was to them. I know Raphael was very proud to know that his dad would be remembered that way by these young people. So anyway, that's the Peter that I got to know lately. He was a man who, having acquainted himself with God, he lost that restless spirit. In the process, he gained so much more from life. He finished strong, doing meaningful work, surrounded by great friends, having a strong bond with his son, Raph, who was Peter's best friend. And he made no bones about that. And reclaiming the love of his three sisters, Rosemary, Julie, and Angela. And I know he would want me to mention that he owed a very special debt of gratitude to his sister Rosemary. He felt that she was the one person on the planet who did more for him than even, with the exception of his parents. And he said that to me often. And of course, to his nieces and his nephews, who, being that avuncular uncle, he would reach out to you, and they would reach out back to them. You know, when I asked my daughter, whenever they were with Uncle Pete, how did you feel? And they said, we always felt happy when we were with Uncle Pete. And you can't ask for anything better than that from your children, to have that memory of your uncle. I'm here to tell you he pulled a strong finish. He became a changed man that I think his parents would be very proud of. And now he gets to be reunited with them, certainly in a great place. And I suspect they are rejoicing together right now. Thank you, Father, for the opportunity.
Thank you.